Hey, what's up, people? This is episode number 9 of the Everyday Tonics Podcast. And on this one, I'm going to be talking about a cool concept, and that is how to control your state. Your state is the present moment of you at all times.
This is Everyday Tonics.
Okay, so I was actually reintroduced to the term state when I was recently in Orlando for a conference, and I saw Tony Robbins speak, and it was the first time I ever saw him speak. And that experience alone was pretty intense. Not really my cup of tea, but the fact that you have to be in that state of mind for 4 hours straight, because Tony Robbins literally talks that long, 3 to 4 hours straight, you definitely are bound to get some nuggets out of it. But my biggest nugget from his whole presentation was to be more mindful of controlling your state, because that will affect every output you have, whether it's your emotions or something you want to do. And really what state is a combination of your feelings, your thoughts, and, physical sensations that'll all have an impact on your state. And we go through different states during the day, and you can think of your whole entire day right now, and there's different states and moods you're in depending on where you're at, what you're doing, what you're thinking. Like for me, I have the morning state. I feel a certain way. When I'm at work, when I'm around certain people, I feel in a certain state. And that's another big factor, the people you're around. So of those 3 things that I mentioned, your feeling, your thoughts, and your physical sensations, probably the most important one, which I mean most of you guys probably care about, is your feelings. And it's also like the most primal part of us. We just want to feel good. And honestly, that is the number one goal as well for most of us, I would say. Feeling good and being happy is the reason I get into things, is the reason I chose a healthy lifestyle. So I can feel good. Like that drives everyone in life, to be honest. Whether they want a nice car, that makes them feel good. Or they just want to live on a farm, that just makes them feel good too. So it's different for every person. And whether you believe it or not, everything we do pretty much, you can just go through your own reference points throughout the day and figure out when you're doing certain things, it's because you're trying to feel good. Our ambitions, our goals, our desires are all for that end goal in mind, where it's like, I'm going to feel good if I have that. Now, the reason I'm doing this episode is because I want you guys to know that state control is probably the most important thing, because that's the easiest way to always feel good in the moment. Let me give you one example, and you could try this right now. If you do a hard smile right now and smile like you really mean it, like you just saw like a unicorn dancing in the sky, like that type, like a laughing smile. If you do that for 30 seconds to a minute, report back in a minute after you do that. You could pause this, whatever. And then I guarantee you your mood and your state will be different, and your thought flow would be different, and your whole outlook would be different. And I'm not trying to make it sound like it's easy. Like, I forget about that stuff sometimes throughout the day, doing that to change my state. And the fact is, it's a hard skill. Knowing how to change your state in the present moment is a hard skill, but it's one of the most important skills that I see people who are happy, who are successful, they have. They know how to control their state at every moment. And when you're around people like that, that rubs off on you, because you're like, oh, this is how they're controlling their space right now. That's something I could pick up on. And the whole point is to not be happy all the time. Like, that's actually weird. I would not want to be happy all the time. But the big factor of controlling your state, and the coolest part of it, I think, is that it'll at least keep you neutral at all times, and it'll get you out of depressive states. Like, I haven't been in a depressive state in a long time, even though I've had some like things that have come up on me, because I know how to stay neutral, and I kind of know how to flip pressure on its head. And the big conundrum here, paradox, whatever you want to call it, is that many times people think that their want will give them that state of control that they need, but sometimes that fails to be true. Your want could be a BMW, and you get that, and it doesn't fulfill your state at all. Maybe short term it does, but it's not that long term fulfillment you are looking for. So something that's key to understand is that we're choosing our feelings at all times. Things don't make us feel a certain way. It's how we react to it that makes us feel a certain way. And another example is that things don't actually hurt you. It's just our interpretation of things that hurt you. I'm thinking about the gym. The gym, like when I do certain exercises, and I've honestly been in the best shape of my life right now, guys. So it's pretty nice moment right now. But I'm at the point now, when I do exercises, it doesn't hurt. Like, even though it's supposed to hurt, like for some people, they see that pain as like, ouch, this hurts, this must be bad. But in my mind, it actually feels really good, because I know I'm going to feel better after it. I've just learned through experience that that's going to pay off, and my body's going to be in good shape. So things can always be misinterpreted, And it's never painful for me to work out, because I'm only thinking about the end goal. I'm not thinking about the pain in the moment. I'm not trying to tell a story in my head about how I feel, how this blah blah blah, because that's not a good way to control my state. So there's a really cool tip that I've recently done that has helped me figure out what my triggers are and how to stop them. And you guys could write this down or do it. I actually recommend you guys to do this like heavily, is to write down your top 10 triggers in your life, what it is, whether it's this person says this thing to me, this triggers me, or if someone treats me this way, or if my family says this about me, or I feel bad when I eat this, like whatever your top 10 triggers are. And then just having that on your mind, it'll allow you to solve it, whether you become more mindful of it or you figure out in your head how to like tell yourself that it's not bad. Like if you just wipe out those top 10 triggers in your life, that alone is just a really great way to control your future state. So one of my favorite ways to control my state, other than controlling how I'm interpreting my feelings, is through nutrition. Food is another big way to control your state. Right now, I'm getting heavily back into teas because teas have an immediate impact on my state. I've been making a breakfast morning tea, and I'm actually going to make a guide about it. So if you guys want to get early access to an ebook I'm going to release, you can get it for free. I'll send it to you about my breakfast tea that I'm making right now. It's this thing I've been drinking every morning, and it allows me to fast while still keeping my metabolism up. I'm telling you guys, I've never been in this good shape in my life before. And I think it's because of this breakfast tea I'm making. So I'm not eating, it's keeping my blood sugar good. And I'm getting all of these super herbs in. And some of these are bitter herbs, but I don't taste it because of how I make the drink. And in that drink, I put things like MCT oil. It's almost like a bulletproof coffee, but it's tea and it's way different. I use a special cacao. I use Macuna. These are all things to get your brain activated and to get like your heart going. And compounding that with you fasting and your body's in thermogenic mode with the MCT oil, so it's like burning fat. It's just like brain fuel in my mind. So right now, that's one of the biggest ways that I'm controlling my state. And that's one of the biggest ways that I know how to control my state, is by what I eat and what I drink. Breath work is another great way to control your state. If I ever feel like I'm too antsy in a situation or my thoughts are racing too quickly, I know before I think about anything else or before I take the next step in anything, I have to take 5-10 minutes right now and do some big, deep belly breaths, or if I ever going to make a major decision, or if I'm have like a creative block or writer's block, I do big, deep belly breaths because that puts me in another state where I'm calm and it gives me clarity. And I mean, this is all so cool. And I'm like, ever since that conference with Tony, I've just been like soaking it in because I never thought of everything that I was doing to change my life, to transform my life, was because I wanted to control my state. But when you start to realize that feeling good, feeling happy, everything is about knowing how to control your state and figuring out what's ruining your state and how to address that. And a big thing is people who ruin your state. A lot of successful people who write these books, they always say your network is your net worth. So usually your 5 closest people that you hang around is kind of what you become. If you have 4 friends who are overweight, you're probably going to be overeating more just because you're around that state where people who like eating these bad foods and they invite you because you're just around that vibration. And another way to think of state is a vibration, is a resonance field. Depression is a very, very low energy state, but happiness and even just like all these other emotions are more higher energy states. And that will honestly affect your physiology as well, because your cells and your muscles, they all have memory. So if they're in a state always of depression or anxiety, your body actually becomes very good at being in that state. And it's like a negative feedback loop. So you got to break that loop and then practice controlling your state through these methods. And we'll end it there. But if you guys like the episode, let me know. Let me know actually like how you guys, because I'm trying to figure out more ideas and stuff about how to control state. So shoot me a DM or send me an email about how you like to control your state. And then I could share that to other people as well. But stay tuned, guys. I have some really, really cool people I'm going to interview soon. They're lined up. They're in the works. This podcast is kind of transforming. It's kind of funny that I'm saying it's transforming because I want it to be more about transformation, not just about health and nutrition. There's a lot more things and cool people I'm going to have on the show who are going to share their transformation. And they all started from a different journey. But when you can learn from indirect sources and figure out how to apply it to your situation, whatever your desire is, that's where true power is, I think. So that's the end of this episode, y'all. Peace out.
This is Everyday Tonics.